Thank you for coming in.
Morning.
What's going on there? I mean, other than this panic over information coming out, why?
Well, what happened a few days ago was quite unexpected, I think. You had a situation where, post the coup in 2013, the repression in Egypt has been extremely severe, and no voices of dissension, were tolerated or felt that they could express themselves. So even many people who had supported the coup when Abdel Fattah al-Sisi came into power were a few months later locked up or left the country, etc. What we saw in the past few weeks was businessmen, not political in any kind of way seemingly, who had a number of military contracts for construction, called for protests on the streets because of what he said was corrupt practices. And the economy is at such a stage that even though seemingly the economy is growing and many figures seem to suggest that Egypt might be looking okay, the poverty is increasing, unemployment is increasing, and for ordinary people on the street things are getting worse and worse day by day. And so suddenly we had these protests a few days ago, and that seems to have taken not only observers like ourselves by surprise, but also Egyptians, and including the Egyptian government. And so what we're seeing now is an attempt to prevent the protests from continuing, even though they have lasted for a few days.
All right, so as he clamps down, I mean, we've got something like 106,000 people sitting in jail, often under this kind of guise of speaking out protests or whatever it is, and nobody's able to stop him from throwing them in there.
Yes, I mean, so immediately post the coup in 2013, you had the huge massacre at 2 squares in Cairo, in the capital city, where between them, various figures, close to 2,000 people were massacred. And then in those few weeks, like 40,000 people were thrown in jail. But that number has been increasing. These are all for political reasons, of course. Many of those people have been sentenced to long term imprisonment, many have been sentenced to death, and many have been executed. But the numbers of people getting arrested is not decreasing, because as the repression continues, people then do begin to speak out. And many of those, as I said, who supported the coup have been thrown in prison, come out and changed their tune from before, and are now against Sisi. So it doesn't seem like, despite whatever the facade might be, it doesn't seem that dissent has been crushed. It went underground for a while. The past few days, has given the opportunity for that to come up. And it also doesn't seem like any of the major political parties are necessarily behind the protests, which means that it's much more organic. I think we will see more repression from the state because they're completely intolerant. But I don't think.
Where does this leave Sisi and his grip on power? I mean, obviously it's going to take another coup to get rid of him.
At the moment, his grip on power seems fairly secure. I think we're going to need much more insurrection and protests and insurrection on the streets for that to change. And at the moment, really, the only way that Egyptians can get rid of him, unfortunately the only way, is the way that Mubarak was gotten rid of, which is that
they don't really have the appetite for that, do they?
No, I mean, if the army decides that he's more of a liability than an asset, then he could be gotten rid of.
And the international community, I mean, there's hardly any voices against him, is there?
No. I mean, he has good allies. In the region, he's supported by Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Israel. Globally, he's supported by the United States. Russia seems comfortable with how he does things. So no state is going to raise their voice against him. It's only going to make a difference if it comes from within.
Naeem, thank you.
Thank you.